Yeah, so we are getting ready to play some Artemis here on Indie Games for Good, the Indie Game Marathon for Child's Play charity. And so we have raised, what does that number say? $7,650 for sick kids to entertain them while they're in a very scary place called Children's Hospital. Now, the Children's Hospitals are actually really great, but you know, being in a hospital, when you're there, the hospital is scary for a kid. Yeah. And so what Child's Play does is they buy toys, books, and games for kids, and it's just this awesome cause. And so what we're doing is we're raising money for them, and we're playing indie games that you, the viewers / donors, choose. If you can afford to donate, we really appreciate it. Go to IGGmarathon.com and donate there. And then if you can't afford to donate, we understand. But what you can do is you can help us spread the word. Go on Twitter, go on Facebook, go on Google+, go on Orkut. No, I don't think anybody uses Orkut. Go on MySpace. Go on MySpace, the new MySpace design. Go wherever you can. Get it going. Spread the word. We've got into Monday now. Fairways into Monday now. So we have plenty more games to show off. It's super exciting. We love you guys for watching. Keep watching.
Turn this on like
practice. Got so much more to go.
All right.
Hey there.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Amazing game.
Not your game.
We have a lot of newbies playing. I never played until last night for the first time ever. First time. Woo.
Well, thank you. I'm very happy to be on.
All right. Well, we're gonna do our practice run first because I think we need to do our shakedown cruise before we blow up for real. All right. This is good. So the difficulty level, we'll change that later.
All right.
And we're off. If I can't do the questions and the.
Who's asking the questions?
All right. So if we could get everyone's our science to start scanning everything. Comms. Can we get comms? Can we contact all the stations? Get DS. Let's see. 2 and 4 to produce ECMs, and 1 and 3 to produce nukes.
This guy knows.
Alright, what's our bearing?
Let's see. Helm, set a bearing for DS1. Let's dock for now. Actually, no. Is someone actually doing the interview? All right. Well, let's see. So, Tom, let's see. So, obviously, Artemis draws from a lot of classic science fiction. What Star Trek, seems like one of the obstacles. But like, what sort of inspired you to sort of bring the bridge to life like this? And Helm, could we set a course for DS2?
Well, if you guys are asking me what the inspiration of Artemis is, it's definitely Star Trek. I mean, I had this idea back when I was 18, and that was a long time ago. And my buddies and I all had Commodore 64s. But I still had the thought. I thought that wouldn't it be great if we could link our computers up, and each computer would be a bridge station on the Enterprise. And to that end, I knew that I had to run a wire, and I had to write I actually wrote some low-level code to have the machines communicate with each other, but the project never got done.
Docking complete with DS1?
And it sat in the back of my mind for decades, until 2 summers ago.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Nice.
That's a really cool. It's been great that the technology enables us to do this like this.
Can I say, as a network geek, I think it's super cool that you actually wrote a protocol to communicate, have your Commodores communicate with one another. I just got my master's and my focus was networks, and I think that's so awesome.
Well, it never worked, but
I still think that's so cool.
I've got a question. Our experience in playing this game has been very enjoyable, but also very hilarious in our own incompetence at communicating and organizing. We've had some success games. We've also had very hilarious failures. I'm wondering, what has been your experience playing this game?
Well, as with most video game developers, I know everything about the game since I made it, so it doesn't provide the same fun for me that it would provide for you.
Okay.
But I have a tremendous amount of fun watching other people play and enjoy the game, and I regularly take Artemis to conventions, science fiction conventions and gaming conventions, and deploy 6 computers and let people play. In fact, we went really big. We went with like 6 bridges to Gen Con this year.
Oh. How would you describe their experience in playing?
I'm not sure what you mean. The people who were playing at Gen Con or the Gen Con?
How did they play the game? What was it like hearing them try to communicate and get things done together?
Well,
DS2 is recording or too close and they can't drop shields to dock with us.
For one thing, we blocked out hour-long blocks of time, and that usually is good for 2 or 3 games. For another thing, we had trainers on staff who basically sat with the crew and said, "This is what your buttons do."
P-84 destroyers on the direct attack.
Actually, one thing, like, there is the scenario sort of mode, like that. Have you are there any particular scenarios that have like caught your interest as just like really?
Quest from TR-36 Transport. Rendezvous.
This is gonna be
I'm trying to play the game. Sorry.
Are there any favorite scenarios of yours that you've enjoyed particularly within the game?
You mean in terms of mission packs or mission scripts?
Yes, I guess.
Well, a friend of mine named Mike Substelny, who's an educator at Lorain County Community College, is the acknowledged expert on my scripting language and my scripting system.
Gotcha.
And for the longest time, he has worked on a project or a mission script that he called Havoc in the Hammock Sector. And it really, from the beginning, he wanted to utterly push the limits of my scripting system. So he threw out all your torpedoes, and he gave you a ram scoop, and he made special enemies that teleported other enemies. And I was always blown away by what Mike was able to do with my scripting system.
Right. Sort of emergent, like its own emergent depth, I guess.
Yeah, really cool. But, I actually have over a decade of experience actually working for the man in the video game industry, and so I know from experience that when you write a scripting system, it's a real double-edged sword. On the one hand, you'll find that scripters will be able to do things with your scripting system that you never thought possible. That's just one of the ways things. On the other hand, of course, they will never stop asking for changes to your scripting system to make life easier for them.
DS3 is a custom.
So, what are your next plans for the game? Do you have further plans to expand this? Can you give us a sense on what's next?
Well, in terms of expanding it, I've got all new user interface art that's going to go into version 2.0.
Okay. Nice.
But I'm gonna try and clean up the version 1.x that we have now, do some more bug fixing, do some more adjustments to make it easier or more fun, try to hit a 1.70 before the end of the year.
Okay.
And then move on with a major upgrade to 2.0.
So would you target that within 2013 sometime?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my revisions on this project have always come, every month or two, but that's because I've been trying an iterative release schedule, much like Minecraft.
Okay, fair enough.
DS2's unfair to attack. dock and complete at DS1.
Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah. Do you have? I know it's not always the most fun thing, but more documentation on the rules anywhere, because there is a bit of a learning curve when you don't have people who can tell you how things are supposed to work.
Yes.
That's what makes it fun.
Watching people just warp into asteroids.
So, press F1.
F1, eh? Okay.
DS3 really wants our help. Their shields are at 40%.
That is helpful, I do say.
So that's a block of text. It's actually not very readable. But on top of that, there's a forum, there's an unofficial wiki. So there are resources out there, but you're exactly right. I haven't provided any sort of structured manual. And it's definitely one of the things that's kind of holding the project back, that I have to do. Earlier on, I made the excuse that, the game keeps changing. But the game's not changing as much as it has been before. So I really don't have any excuse to not provide an official manual.
Okay, yes, I must say the wiki is very helpful. That's how I got started with this.
Fair enough.
DS3's shield works still.
So, how'd you decide on the roles that you wanted to be present in the game? And do you have plans to add any more in the future?
Well, certainly, again, it was inspired by Star Trek, so I had to think about what were the roles on the bridge. I could theoretically have made a doctor's console, but, McCoy never really did any doctoring by computer. The fuzzy part was how the different shows tackled what Sulu did and what Chekhov did. They were alternatively weapons, helms, operations, navigation, all wrapped up into those two guys. So it was my best guess, and it seems to work fine. Nobody really has come to me and said, you need an operation station and it will do these things for the players. Enough so that it convinces me that the game needs that kind of thing. Besides, obviously, as you're experiencing, the more bridge stations you have, the harder it is to get friends together to play.
Right. Yeah, we have plenty of computers here, but that's certainly not always the case.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions from the stream?
We did have a question earlier in the stream, but I think it's panned off the screen, so I have to scroll up a little to get it. I remember spotting it, thinking that was a good question. Somebody whose font was red.
Is this a one-person project? Are you the only developer?
Low?
Yeah, I'm the developer. I programmed it, I designed it. I certainly work with some other people, and I've purchased all the art. I'm not an artist, I'm a programmer. But it's really just me.
Alright, awesome, yeah. Okay, do we have any other questions? Any other questions from the stream?
I can ask a question. I just learned about this game, and this is really awesome. Is it possible to have two different bridges competing against one another? How multiplayer is the multiplayer?
The answer is yes. You could definitely have multiple bridges if you had enough people and enough computers. In fact, and when you do so, you really can lock on to anything, so it's your choice whether you're playing head-to-head or co-op.
So you can turn on each other in the middle of gameplay. It's not set up to be allied or opposition.
Don't you remember when we were nuking Daniel?
Well, no, I remember that was just one guy.
Okay,
I didn't know if it was just you can be you can control one ship, or you can have bridges, plural bridges, all
we could have
trying to work together,
people.
And then suddenly one of them turns. Oh man, that would have been good for Indie Games for Evil.
That's what we did for Indie Games for Evil.
We had one person. I'm saying we had two bridges that were allied, and then suddenly we don't have computers. That's true.
Yeah,
well, in fact, just a couple of weeks ago at Mike Subselny's house, we were able to put together 4 bridges to play co-op.
Wow.
Nice.
Oh no, you crashed. What happened?
There we go.
Some other process crashed, not the game. Just so everyone knows, there's another process that crashed, not the game. The game is fine.
So just so you know, DS3 is no more.
Yes.
Yeah. I kept reporting DS3.
Yeah,
DS1
while we
was
were
under direct attack.
distracted, we lost the space station.
That's okay, we didn't need that one.
They were a bunch of whiners.
DS1 is under direct attack, and they also want us to pick up supplies from DS4 for them.
So
Set up a mine.
questions from the stream. This is 6 players or 6 ships at once, right? Each
36
ship has
players.
6 stations, so it's 36 players, and it's $40. Does that get you the licenses for 36 simultaneous people for that $40
Good
price?
question.
No.
No?
What I sell on the website for $40 is a bridge license,
Okay.
which is the right to copy it on up to 6 machines.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So $40 gets you effectively 6 games in one.
Yeah, I get 6 copies, so you
6
can do it
copies.
to 5 friends.
And yes, stream, we can read what you are typing.
It gets you 1 bridge.
One bridge.
One
Yeah.
bridge,
6
players.
stations.
Yeah.
Friends not included.
That's kind of cool.
DS1's under.
Virkung gets, or Virkung?
You cannot dock with DS1 because they are under direct attack.
It is 6 ships at one time, so 6 full bridges, which is 36 players.
Bearing for that group.
Yeah.
Now, that's the theoretical edge of the game, but at that point, there might be network issues. There are certainly issues with the difficulty level of the game. It's very easy to play a given level if you've got 2 or 3 other ships helping you.
Right.
I can't remember.
So is there any, actually my own question, is there any challenge that you have yet to see someone complete, like, a mode? You gave us your own challenge for this game that we have yet to complete. Is there something that, you've proven to be, like, so difficult that no one's ever done it, or?
Well, I can tell you about the levels of the invasion mode. I originally designed level 10 of the invasion mode to be, as far as I could tell, unwinnable. But I have heard these Russian guys boast that they were able to do so.
Did they fracture it?
Yeah.
So if you don't
No,
fracture, it doesn't count.
I didn't.
Pixar, it didn't happen.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I didn't see any real video proof or anything.
Right.
Now, I also included a level 11.
Okay.
And that's just a joke. It's just a joke. So but people choose to play level 11. So, and mostly what it does is break the game. It puts so many enemies into the sector that everything slows down, and it's a big mess.
Right.
We have another question about the licensing and how to play. If you install the 6 licenses onto 6 machines, are you then able to uninstall and reinstall on a different machine? Like are those licenses bound to that particular machine once it's been consumed, or can you migrate them to other machines?
Is there any DRM?
Yeah,
involved?
DRM. How does that all work?
There is no DRM at all.
Yay!
Awesome.
Cool.
So it's an honor system then. We're all honorable folks.
Yeah, we are honorable people.
I do want to let the stream know that we do have some codes to raffle off. So as soon as our raffle system is functional, then someone should go yell at Matt to make that.
Okay. He's gone.
Yeah, let's yell at Matt. That's a good idea.
But yeah, if you're interested in this game, we are going to be able to give away some copies, and thank you for donating those to us.
No problem.
Hoopy, that was the Kobayashi Maru, and I feel
DS1 wants to know what
not bad
F we are doing.
that, because I know that many other people in this room could also answer that question, and I am not outing myself as a horrible nerd.
Kobayashi what?
No.
Actually, this actually brings up something.
Terry said it not long ago.
What did I say?
The Kobayashi Maru.
Yeah, I made that joke.
Someone said what was the name of that unwinnable scenario.
Oh, yeah.
Handled, guys.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Actually, another question, sort of kind of going to the Star Trek thing. Like I know I guess it's for sort of simplicity's sake, but have you considered doing like working the 3rd dimension?
Oh boy.
Into the game.
Oh boy.
It's not hard enough already.
Did you hear the question?
I'm sorry, no. I did not hear the question.
Okay.
Have you ever considered making the game into full 3D, like playable in 3 dimensions?
I can't talk about it.
Well, yeah, it's from the very beginning, from the first day I made the game and made it available.
Huh. Interesting. So what stopped that? Just difficulty?
Okay. Well, my own experience in the video game industry tells me that a true 3D experience is a real challenge for a lot of players. And I did not want to close off my experience to a lot of players. Also, if you look at Star Trek is traditionally kind of 2D. I mean, Star Trek itself is modeled on naval battles, and naval battles is fundamentally two-dimensional. So I myself, as a game designer, did not feel any pressure to go 3D. And a lot of people came to me and said, "Where's the 3D? We want a real space experience." Well, partially, Artemis is not a real space experience because of its inspiration. But having said that, the entire game is in 3D. All the technology is already in 3D. Right. It's just that your ship is locked to the plane. I am almost certainly in the near future going to provide an opportunity to climb and dive. So submarine 3D, basically. And we'll see how that goes. It's been my experience that a lot of people cry out for a feature, and then when I give them one, even one that I haven't really built very well, they shut up and don't tell me whether they liked it or not.
Fair enough.
The chat's wondering what other games you've worked on.
We're being attacked. I think that's what the monkey screen is.
No.
Can you ask Chad whether they're talking about the indie games I've made or the games I've made while working in the industry?
Probably either.
I would guess. Both.
Okay. Well, talking about the industry games first, you have to understand that, I'm sure you do understand, that most games that are developed in the industry never actually get published.
Yep.
It's about 2 out of 3 games just get canceled. Yep. So having said that, my first actual video game industry job was 1992. I worked on Harpoon and Harpoon 2, the naval simulators. I was one of like 12 programmers on that project. After that, I went over to Western Technologies, and I worked on the first Vampire the Masquerade game that never came out.
Overheating. She's gonna blow, Captain.
I almost said I remember that, but you're talking about an earlier one.
Yeah, an earlier one that never came out, never saw the light of day. And I didn't stay there for very long. I jumped ship to go to Digital Domain. They were starting a new interactive group, and we made Barbie Fashion Designer.
Barbie Fashion Designer. Barbie Fashion Designer.
Awesome.
Nice.
And I was one of 4 programmers on that. I got to do some of the neat stuff, like the 3D runway walk and the printer stuff. Ooh. And then that turned out to be pretty much the worst job I ever had. But it didn't have anything to do with Barbie directly. And then I jumped ship to Interplay, where I was the lead programmer on a Star Trek project called Secret of Vulcan's Fury. That also never came out. And then from there, I went to Austin, Texas. I worked at Microprose for a while on an unpublished product called Guardians Agents of Justice.
Okay.
And then basically we worked for a year, and then they fired us and closed the office, which is typical in the video game industry.
It's so cool.
So I took a little break, and then I came back when my wife started law school, and worked at Acclaim for 3 years on the All-Star Baseball 2002 and 2003 projects. We were doing PlayStation 2 and GameCube at the time. And then after 3 years, I jumped ship. Well done.
Yay.
And went over to Edge of Reality, where we worked on The Sims for PlayStation 2. And that was my last actual industry job.
Okay, and then you left from there to work on Artemis full time, or did you do something else between the industry and finishing up this?
I did a lot. I mean, Artemis is 2 years old, but I left the industry in 2003.
Oh, okay, wow.
So, I mean, but nothing has hit as big as Artemis. I've made a lot of projects, a lot of indie games that I've just self-published on the web. Made a few $100s here and there. Nothing's been nearly as big as Artemis for me.